everybody, and welcome back. Today, something a little different. Went ahead and put together some footage from a backpacking trip that I took about a month ago. I'd been sitting on it for a while. A couple buddies, my brother and I, went down to the Lake Vesuvius recreational area or something like that. I don't know, I think that's what it's called. To do a little backpacking. And they actually have quite a few trails there. They have some smaller like day trails or like little 1-2 mile things. You can take your kids or a dog or whatever, walk your cat, I don't know. They also have some docks and you can put your boats. There is a lake, duh. And then there are two actual, like a little bit more serious backpacking trails. We did the Lakeshore trail, so it was the trail around the lake, which was about 8 miles. And then they have the longer backpacking trail, which is a little over 17, I think, 17 and a quarter, something like that. And really looking forward to going back down there for the long trail. The Lakeshore trail, I think they give people like an average of like 4 hours to complete. Now, I'm not a fast hiker, and I think that the Lakeshore Trail, if we would have hiked it all the way through, I think we would have been done in 3. I did my GPS thing just to kind of trace it and figure out our miles per hour and everything. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think we would have, with our stops, because we did take a couple of stops. There were a couple of neat on looks and a couple of little small challenges along the way, but I'll talk about that a little later. But I would say with everything, probably about 3 hours maybe. So it's actually a pretty short trip when you think about it. But we just did an overnight, found a really nice place to camp. So you'll see some of the hike-in video. Then some drone footage that my buddy did, who I didn't even know you could be a commercial drone pilot, but you are, so you'll see his footage in here that he took for me. And then on the way out, well, at camp I really didn't do video very much at all, sorry. I tend to live in the moment, so I wasn't really thinking about it. I'll do better next time. We've got another trip coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'll try to do more. But anyway, the following morning, my phone kind of was dying on me, and I forgot my battery pack. I actually had it and the charging cable sitting on the mantle, and just ready to get in the bag, and I totally forgot. So, my bad, and it was a double kick because if I would have at least had the cable, I could have used my buddies and charged it, and I would have had a lot more footage. But anyway, I took a couple of clips from the couple of mile, maybe like a mile or two hike out, but that was about it. And like I said, just do better next time. Shot this all on my iPhone 7, yeah, as well. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy. Stick around after the footage, because at the end I'll do a little bit of a recap of the hike, tell you some stories maybe, and then go through a couple of key pieces of gear that I had on the trail, and some stuff that I'm changing and stuff that's coming up in the future. So enjoy the footage, guys. We'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, how was the footage? Super good? Man, yeah. That was a lot of fun. That trip was a lot of fun. I was sort of in a funk where I really wasn't going on as many adventures as I wanted to, so this year has really become the year of getting the hell out and just going and getting on trail and getting some miles on the feet. You know, one day you won't be able to. So, point is to get on and get out. So let's go ahead and go through a little bit of gear. I don't have everything available and I could have gotten everything, but hey, look forward to a full unpack or pack explosion or whatever you want to call it at a later time, because I have updated a couple of things since this trip. And I guess as I have a couple items, I'll tell you why that is. Anyway, so let's start with a bag. So this is actually a pretty old down sleeping bag. This was Sierra Designs. I want to say this was called the Moonlight. I think it was called the Moonlight. Anyways, 30 degree down bag, 775 fill. Yeah, fill power. Goose down. And I got this really cheap at one point, and it's actually a really nice, maybe 3-season bag, I guess. Story. So when we were out on this trip, you know, you're talking really early spring, and during the day it felt amazing, but at night it got cold. Very cold. Now normally the cold doesn't bother me. I can sleep down pretty deep in cold weather and have zero problems, but so that night got to sleep, slept about 4 hours, and then I woke up and I was bitter cold. I was just cold. Now granted, I didn't have all my gear on. However, what I did have on, I had a pair of socks, I had my compression shorts, then my base layer pants, and then my Columbia Silver Ridge hiking pants, just nylon. And then I think I had 2 shirts on. I maybe had like an under t-shirt, and then my it's a permethrin laced shirt, dry wick shirt. So I had that, and then I think I might have had no, I don't think I had a coat on, and I had my Z-Packs fleece beanie. So I was all up in my bag, and I had my, the hood up and everything, and I was cold. So I actually woke up, I put my pair of wool socks, hiking socks, the Darn Tough, I put them over the socks that I was wearing, and then I put on my puffy. I just have an REI puffy coat, down puffy coat. So I put on my puffy, and I had a Columbia rain jacket, just a lightweight rain jacket as well. So I had so many layers on, and I'm like huddled in this thing, like, oh, come on, keep me warm. And I didn't bring a pair of gloves, which would have probably been clutch, but I didn't bring them. And it was cold. Oh, it was cold. So for the next couple hours, I was up and down, in and out of sleep. Didn't get any real comfortable sleep after that. I was the first one out of the tent, like 6-ish a.m., 6:30. Got a fire started, kind of walked around, drank a cup of coffee, and felt great after that, but it was cold. So, 30-degree bag, once it gets down into the low 20s and late teens, it doesn't provide that sort of comfort rating, which we all know, because the comfort ratings for these bags are not exactly right. So, anyway, this is actually something that I've replaced. I actually got a quilt. It is a 20-degree quilt. So that'll be replacing this. I'll probably still keep this around because this is super light. This is I want to say once I do my pack rundown, I have all the weights written down. It's less than 2 pounds. Let me put it to you that way. But it's very light. And the compression sack, if you want to do that, it comes in, makes it nice and compact. So anyway, that was that. This is kind of the old bag. And prior to this, I was using a lot of synthetic bags with some reasonably good effect. So really my first kind of jaunt with down. So then let's talk pack. So this is the Z-Pack Sark Haul. I got this, geez, things are starting to fall off. I kind of halfway unpacked it. Got all the stuff that I needed to air out of here, but didn't completely take everything else out to just kind of, you know, repack later. So this is Z-Pack Sark Haul. I got this used on eBay. Got a pretty good deal on it. I wanted to get a lightweight pack. You know, prior to this I was using, you know, kind of an big external frame bulky thing, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I don't have the greatest knees in the world, so sometimes back gives me a little trouble. So I wanted to really narrow down the weight this year. So again, it's all about continuing this on and on and on for the future. So the Z-Pack Sark Haul, it really did a great job. I actually really like this pack. I had zero issues with it on the first trip. So we'll go more in depth on the pack later. But yeah, this is what I used. I really appreciate the arc system in there. It really gets that thing off your back. Has this nice mesh back here. So it's touching, making contact, but not a bunch of contact because I'm a sweater. So, and then not pictured here, I did use a Light Heart Gear So Long 6 tent that I also got on eBay at a pretty reasonably discounted rate. Why did I go with the So Long 6? Isn't that for tall people? I'm tall. Not really, I'm not that tall. I'm only about 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. It was just because it was available, it was convenient, and it was well priced. But I had looked at a lot of the Light Heart Gear stuff and was almost convinced I was probably going to buy the Firefly. And So Long came up, snapped it up. I also have some other tents that I need to look at. And again, we'll talk about that in later videos. But all in all, weight-wise, so base weight of everything, I had probably about, it was a little less than 15 pounds in base weight. I can get superficial on that once I do a pack, like a loadout video. However, my buddy did have one of those little hanging weight thingies, for lack of better terminology. And we did weigh all of our packs. The heaviest came in at like 50 pounds. Don't know what he was doing. No, he brought a lot of food. So anyway, had the high end 50 pounds. My buddy, one buddy, it was like at 30. My brother was like 25. And then, and again, this is with water, food, and extra clothing. And I even had my trekking poles in the pack to weigh everything. So extra clothes, puffy, you know, all that good stuff, food, water, yeah, because we had to trek in all of our water. I mean, I brought filtration for extra water if I needed it, but water and all that good stuff. I was just a shade under 19 pounds, so take that for what it's worth. It actually was very comfortable. Very comfortable for me. And I even had some luxury stuff like a chair. Oh, see, this is why I talked about it at the end, so you didn't shut it off in the beginning. I do bring a chair, Helinox Chair Zero. They're fantastic. It's £1, and they're super comfy. I don't really go anywhere without them. And I'll tell you, even trekking poles, if you would have told me a year or two ago, hey man, you're going to carry trekking poles, like, I'm not going to carry trekking poles, but I do. I do carry trekking poles now. I always kind of got in this thing where, so all of my packs always had hip belt pockets, right? So the way that's positioned on the hip, you know, your arms are kind of in a weird position. So I'd usually just wind up doing this the entire time, just grabbing onto the straps like this and doing, doing that walk. So like it always felt natural to kind of just have my hands out here like on poles. So I bought a pair of what are they, Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber poles. Very highly rated on Amazon, but they're also very cheap for a pair. And well, I needed trekking poles anyway because my tent is a trekking pole erecting tent. So anyway, it was super nice. It was so nice. So anyway, let's talk about the trail just a little bit here too, and we'll wrap it up and get you on out of here. The trail was awesome. I really enjoyed it. We hit it, early spring, so the vegetation hasn't really come out. I could see this place getting overgrown like nuts, especially around the Lakeshore. There were a lot of points where you're like right up on the lake, a lot of, kind of ridge walking. There were a couple spots where the trail was very narrow, and it was like, see your death. Not really. I mean, I didn't really feel any oh crap moment. There was one oh crap moment. On the last day, on the way out, we were there's a section where there's a lot of rock formations, which I feel like, and forgive the ignorance, I didn't really ever look it up, but I think that area was probably like a strip mine / rock quarry. Some of the cuts in the rock look very man-made as opposed to something naturally forming or occurring. So anyway, we were going around this one rock, and the actual trail was very narrow. I mean, if it was a foot wide, I would be surprised. So I kind of did the old shuffle, and I had this one whoa, and then just kind of get back on trail and zoom on out. So that was the only time I had a particular experience where I was like, oh crap, I'm going in or I'm going down. There was one part of the trail. I'm trying to think of where it was. It was towards the beginning. It was right as we were crossing like the first little creek. And there was a bridge. And we looked at the bridge. It's like, what's this bridge for? So we continued to follow the trail markers. And it led us up this like almost like vertical hill. And it kind of took you up and around. And then by the time we got down at the bottom, we could have taken the bridge to bypass this stupid little vertical. Feel like I needed rappel gear or not rappel, ascent gear, and then rappel gear. No, it was interesting. It's one of those little challenges that kind of make you stop, pause, and say, "Oh, well, that's kind of fun." So that was cool. There were a lot of down trees. The whatever Forest Service, whoever takes care of the trail, was doing some burning. I would assume probably termites, ash borers, who knows, insects. But they were doing some burning on some trees. They were doing some looked like some foliage clearing as well. But there were a couple of down trees in the path, which was couldn't have like cut a path through I don't know, whatever. So there were a couple of, going over some big logs and so forth, which was fun. But yeah, it was good. Now, yeah, I don't know. I think that's about all. I don't know. The trail was actually pretty easy, I think. Like I mentioned earlier, it could easily be done very quickly. I mean, you could do it 2 times if you wanted. The terrain was not super challenging. There were a couple of hills, uphills, and so forth, but there was a reasonable amount of flat land, and it was just hiking. It was just pounding miles. It was very mild. It just you gotta kind of pay attention. There were a couple of really neat on looks into the lake. Oh, and some of the coolest stuff was towards the back end, because like the front end of the lake was very murky, as you'll see from some of the aerial footage on the video earlier. But on the back end, oh man, there was we did one overhead, and it was just blue. It just looked so good, and the water cleared out in some amazing sections. Would have probably made some really good drinking water had we not trekked in pretty much all we needed. But yeah, it was a really neat experience, and I would definitely hike that section again. If we go back, I'm definitely wanting to do the long trail before anything, because I want to explore more of the area. But yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful out there, and Oh, one takeaway. So we did the trail clockwise. You can do it clockwise or counterclockwise. I think that it would have been better to do it counterclockwise. So the one thing I noticed is on the clockwise motion, so basically in the first couple miles, there were some campsites, hiker-made campsites, but they were campsites nonetheless. On the other side, there really was nothing. There were really, at least not that I saw. We wound up setting up camp at mile maybe 5 or 6, in between 5 and 6, and found we actually had to go uphill, and there was this sort of just flattened spot up on this hill, and it was a perfect place, and it had been used because somebody had collected some rocks for a fire circle. So we obviously left the rocks and left some more firewood for anybody who might be stopping there. But it was a beautiful spot, and I really enjoyed that. But on the other side, there was at least 2 really nice used campsites that we could have stopped at as well. So it worked out pretty well, but I actually would have wanted... I was hungry for miles for some reason, so I think had they not been doing burning, because there was a potential for certain areas where, they didn't want you staying because of the burning going on. I think if the burning would have been happening, I think, given hindsight, obviously, I would have done the entire long loop. But the Lakeshore was good. But I was just hungry for miles, so I wanted to go a little bit further, at least another mile or a half mile, whatever. But the campsite we had was great, and it really passed that. We didn't see anything campsite-wise. So it was a good stopping point. It really was a good stopping point for us. Wasn't much in the way of wildlife. Didn't really hear any strange sounds. I actually slept... aside from being super cold, like I mentioned earlier, that first 4 hours was great. I actually took a short nap after we got done with the hike. It was beautiful. And there were very few people out at that time. Now, granted, I'm sure that this trail gets heavier usage as the season progresses, but we ran into one group of clearly backpackers because they had everything going on, going the opposite way. And then we had we ran into a couple of kids that looked like, I have no idea. It was weird. They were wearing just like normal clothes. I was just like, what are you doing out here? Are you guys gonna make it? I know this isn't super crazy, but that was kind of strange. And there were a couple of loners just doing a day hike, so it wasn't bad. And there were plenty of people on the lake too, fishing. So we said hi to a couple people as they were around the banks that we were hiking around. So, but anyway, Lake Vesuvius, really neat area. Looking forward to going back. Have quite a few more trips planned, though, coming up, and I'm really looking forward to getting out and getting you some more footage. I'll do better. I'll get some better footage, and I guess some more vloggy stuff later. I'm just, like I said, I enjoy the moment. I like living in the moment, especially when I'm backpacking. It just makes me feel alive being out there, turning the phone off, or at least putting it in airplane mode, just listen to the sounds of nature, pounding down miles. It makes me happy. And also sharing it with friends. It's also great to share it with friends, so I appreciate the guys who stuck it out with me. You guys are great. So yeah, that was the trip, and hopefully you enjoyed the footage here. I'll go ahead and stop yakking. Look forward to more. Definitely going to have, loadout video for the pack, what I have going on there for this year. Camping gear reviews, things that I have that I'm using that are working really good. So we'll do some videos on those, some things that I've changed, some things that are old, some things that are new. We'll do some, hopefully on the trail ration reviews as well. I know that there are a couple of you who really wanted that, so we'll get on that as well. Probably see a couple of other people on the channel as we're out hiking. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you very much To everyone who has subscribed to the channel, you guys are the real winners. I appreciate that. It doesn't take much to hit the subscribe button, but you guys did it, so you guys are the smart ones. Anyone who's not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click the button. Come on. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment if you want to tell me something, or tell me your camp stories, man. Tell me your backpacking stories if you have them. Tell me that time you wrestled a bear. I don't know. Whatever. It's cool. You can tell me. I'm your buddy. But anyway, thank you guys for stopping by and viewing another video. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.